Okay, you guys, here we go with building the crane. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see with the crappy light in here, but on the sprues there are tons of little parts and pieces. Uh, the first pieces that I took off were this piece, and this is for the Walthers traveling pier and crane. And I took out this piece. Then I took off these little cylinder pieces and this round piece, which is it's larger than some of the others. There are others on here. You should not get them confused. You can see the little round ones in here. This one's considerably bigger. You take off the bigger one because it goes on the spools for the rope. Now I went ahead and put one together. They're really easy to put together. On one end of the cylinders there's a little prong, or I call it a nipple. When you put those together, the nipples should line up on the top. And then the round cylinder should go on the bottom, leaving this funky shaped nipple on the top. And it'll come out like that. Glue that all together and it'll come out like this. The other pieces that I took off are these two wedge pieces. You'll notice one of them has the big holes in it and the other one has small holes. The small holes are for the small nipple on your cylinder, and the big nipple goes in the big holes. Then last but not least is the bottom foundation that's got this weird little box up here. Don't be mistaken and cut that off. That's part of the little workman's shed that's on the side of the crane. So you need that. Also, you'll see that it has these grooves in it. These grooves are what house the triangle pieces. You just slide them right on there, like so. And slide this side on. The cylinders go in the middle, and these other parts that I took off also go in the middle. So it all kind of has to go on in one piece, which can be difficult, but I have a plan. Rather than putting this on here now, I'll put the bottom aside, keep the triangle with the big holes, and once I get this other cylinder together, I'll take both cylinders, stick them in the hole, and then I'll take this piece, I'll glue it up here at the top. I'll take this piece, if you can see that, and glue it up here at the back. Now this is basically just follow the instructions because I want this to actually come out like it's supposed to. The other cylinder will go here. After these are glued into place, this one will be easy to put on. You just put it on. Make sure the nipples line up. Don't break those nipples off or you'll be in trouble. The only other way to fix that is to drill a hole out and put a screw through the hole and then through the cylinder here. But the cylinder still has to be loose to be able to move freely on its own. Okay, and then after I get this other piece on there, like this, I'll be able to pick it up and set it right on here on the base, which is right here. I don't know if you can see that, and glue it down, easy as pie. The only other thing that'll be tough is the string, getting the string through the little notches and putting them around the proper spools. This isn't going to be a working crane. I would like to have it to where I can pull the string down if I wanted to, but in the instructions it doesn't give you a possibility to rewind them back up. and get the cable to not touch the pier and actually be up as high as you want it. So I am going to modify this so I can do that. There'll be a little a handle on the outside of the shed. I'll just put this stuff down. Here's the sprue that houses the shed pieces. This shed piece will be the piece that's further away from the workman's shanty, and the workman's shanty will actually be on this piece right here, and the parts for that are all over the place in here. And there's a tread safety stepway. It's got the aluminum diamond plate pattern on it. So what I'm thinking about doing is, after I get it together, I'm thinking about drilling a hole, oh, it'll be right about here, and put a handle on there so I can crank the cable back up in there. But it'll be kind of hard because I'll have to line it up perfectly with this piece, and then line it perfectly up with the hole, and line it perfectly up with the spool on the back side to add the handle. But that's the way I want to do it, because I want to be able to bring the hook back up into the machine, you know, to maybe make the cable a little shorter. And like I said in the instructions, these are very, 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 very basic instructions. It doesn't show you piece by piece where everything goes. It's just an exploded diagram of the crane. And then, once again, there's an exploded diagram there of the shed, along with how the rope goes on, which it actually looks pretty complex. I've only done one other crane before, and it didn't turn out that great, so I'm not looking forward to the rope part. But anyhow, when it's done, it should look like the crane on the box, somewhat. And you can see that right there. There's what the finished crane should look like. I kind of like the gray color, the light gray color with the steel color. And once again, there's the dark blackish gray steel color that I mixed earlier for the roof on the structure that I did. So I mixed some of that steel color there. But I like how it all fits together in the colors, so I think I'll just leave it those colors. But I am going to weather the hell out of it, because this is a crane that looks like it was built in the 1950s, and this layout takes place in 1970, so there's plenty of time for it to get dirty sitting next to the seawater. So anyway, when you come back, I will have this all glued together and sitting on the platform so you can take a look at it and how I did it. And I may even take off the one wall piece that I want and drill the hole and get it lined up for the spool before I put everything else together. So there we go, guys. See you later, and take care. Okay, so you can see that I have the pieces on the triangle section glued together. I had a paint jar sitting on them for a while, and here's the finished piece. As you can see, the two spools are in there. They still spin freely. I can spin them. But like I said, it has these little notches here on the end of the spool. I don't know if you can see them. There you go. But they don't actually connect to anything, and they're not in the instructions as being actually important. So I'm going to stick something in there and drill a hole in one of the walls later on, and actually make my own handle. Another thing is you always want to clean off all the flash on the side of the models before you put them together. I tend to get carried away and try to speed things up, mainly because I just get excited and want to put the items together. Even after modeling for many years, I still find myself getting carried away and trying to go too fast. But anyhow, I am ready to acclimate the pieces together and see how they fit in their respective grooves. And so far they're not fitting very well. There we go. Okay, now I don't like how easy this can pop out of place, so I'll have to glue it with my hands in place. So when I come back, it'll be glued, and you will see how it looks when it's together. Alright, you guys, here we go again. As you can see, I glued the parts and pieces together. The cylinders are in there, and the next thing I want to do is show you this. Here's the far wall section. It'll go on this side. When you put it up on there, you can see that the windows line up with the little these little nipples that come out of the holes there. Two of the windows line up, and what I'm thinking is I'll just leave these two windows open and blank. I don't know if you can see it from there, but they actually line up with the nipples. So these two windows, I will not put the window frames in, and I will not put glass in. A lot of windows are missing on things that are close to the pier anyway, because of the fact that salt and sea air is so hard on metals and steels that that it's okay if I leave that out. Okay, now I'm trying to figure out how I can get this on there and have it move without it gluing to this base, this little ring that goes underneath. It says in the kit that you put this ring underneath there, pop it through like that, and the ring is supposed to spin freely and allow the crane on its base to pivot. However, this ring is really it's really delicate. But we're gonna try it. This little piece here is gonna have to take a little finesse and very little glue. If I put too much glue on this ring, it could run down and lock the entire thing in place and not allow it to spin freely at all, which would be a bummer, because then my crane will not move at all. So I have to make sure that this is done properly. Well, if it's not, then this piece won't be able to spin ever. If it doesn't work, because I've been known to glue things in place to where they can't pivot or spin, hence the little foul-up that I made on my miniature rail crane when putting it together. Then I'll have to jerry-rig this myself and make it to where it rolls on some sort of caster bearing maybe. But we'll worry about that if it doesn't work. If not, then I won't have to worry about it if it works. If it doesn't work, then I'll just go ahead and modify it, it's no big deal. Well, here's the telltale. It works so far. I don't want to play with it too much because I don't want it to break free right now. But I really do not like this, how Walthers has this set up. This is kind of chintzy. This basically means that it can break any time and there's nothing you can do about it. Because once you have the legs on, you're not going to be able to get in there to modify this. Which can be a big pain if it's already all built up and ready to go. You'll just have to set the crane on top of your rails and just leave it there in a single position and never move it. Which also is okay because really model railroaders don't usually want everything moving and positionable on their layout. It's mainly more about the trains than anything else. To me, the only reason why I spend so much time with the scenery is because for me, a scenery is a big part of the modeling itself. And this is able to turn freely. I'm going to set it aside and not worry about it right now. My coin phrase, not worry about it. I'm going to bring this sprue out with all the pieces to the building. I'll just go ahead and get them all cut off and see how they line up. And when we come back, I will have all the pieces cut off, and I will show you how I'm going to put the crane and the base together. So we'll see you back here in a few. Okay, guys, so this crane kit is really tough to put together. The pieces are very brittle. As you can see, there's a break right here, and there's a couple pieces broke out down there on the bottom. Those were actually broke out when I opened the kit. But as it turns out, this is a pretty old kit and it is very brittle. Along with being very small, it's also brittle. I'm going to put this piece on the bottom with the broke out pieces. I have the little sticks right here to replace them, put them back in there when I'm done. But I'm going to put this one on the bottom so it doesn't show so much. And there are the two little nipples here and here that go into the bottom of the base on this side and on the other side like this. But there's a very complex guide here for the strings, the thread to go through and onto the spools and down to the little block and tackle. It's best summed up to say this: there are two strings, two threads. One of them is slightly longer than the other. I'm going to put that one on the top. And then there's the other string, which is a little shorter, and that one's going to go on the bottom, I think. So, if I stick to the standard rule that the bottom spool works the block and tackle to go up and down, the top spool, which will be the back spool, which will have the lines coming up here to the top of the gantry, the strings coming up here, are the strings that make the whole boom go up and down. So the string on the top, I can actually wait to do that until the strings on the bottom are done, but that means I'll have to fish the string through the block and tackle. The only way to do that is to actually have the block and tackle open. But there's a problem with that, because once you glue the block and tackle together with this little wheel inside of here, which, yes, I keep losing, the block and tackle has to go inside of here, then the little wheel, and then the other side of the block has to go on. And if I get any glue on the string while I do this, the string won't move at all, to allow the block and tackle to go up and down. So yeah, this part is pretty tedious and not very fun. Not fun at all. But I'll try it, and when I get back to you, you'll see how it came out.